Well, I'm on the phone with MDI head coach Mark Shields, as we are every Monday and Thursday for the MDI Coaches Show. And, Coach, you and I we've just gone over 8,000 different scenarios that are regarding the playoffs, and all we can come up with is that MDI has to win at Old Town this Friday night to control its own destiny.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Chris. I mean, and you can make yourself crazy getting caught up trying to figure out the Crabtree point system and strength of schedule and records and who beat who. You know, and the bottom line is, I mean, you just got to play the games, and the chips will fall, you know, where they fall. And you know, for us, it doesn't get any bigger, and for Old Town, it doesn't get any bigger this week because the winner of this game Friday night will have the number 2 seed, and I mean, Old Town could possibly be the number 1, but and you get a bye in the first round of the playoffs, which is huge. You have, you know, extra week to prepare and rest, and yeah, it's just you know, it doesn't get any bigger than this for both programs, for sure.
If you're looking at the Crabtree points at home, they are incorrect. I wrote a story about it on the WDEA website. Old Town has, according to the Crabtree points, played an additional 5 games more than everyone else, and that's because the Stearns preseason game is being factored into the Crabtree points. So as of right now, the Crabtree points show MDI like .046 ahead of Old Town, and in reality, Old Town's ahead of MDI.
Right. So we're still sitting in third, and
correct.
You know, we've been chasing, you know, Old Town all year long, and you know, hoping that it would come down to this last game. And you know, we've both had great seasons, and you know, I think it's going to be a fantastic game on Friday night for sure.
All right, let's look back on last Friday night's game. A nice victory for MDI, 42-13 over Oceanside. The streak ended in terms of MDI scoring their first possession due to a fumble, and you were moving into the red zone and unfortunately fumbled. And then it was really I think at the end of the first quarter, it was 7-all. I mean, I'm sorry, 8-6, 8-7. And so, or that was the end of the first half. It was 8-7. It was a tough first half.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, we knew coming in that Oceanside was going to be a tough opponent. They played well in a lot of their games, and they played well against a lot of the top teams in our conference. So we knew we were going to have to play our best football to beat these guys. And, you know, we came out and, you know, you're right. I mean, we just cannot turn the football over in big games, and that's any big game. It kills you. And you know, the kid fell awful, and the kid ended up having a great game, and, you know, we're past that. But, you know, turnovers, you know, in big games are, you know, they're game changers for sure.
Let me just correct myself. It was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter, and then it was 8-6, and then MDI ended up scoring a couple times, and at the end of the first half, it was 22-7. So just so we get that right. Yep.
And I think our first score was actually a punt return by Drew Rich that got us rolling a little bit, and, you know,
46 yards.
Yeah, I mean, special teams, we talk about this all the time on this show, that, you know, they're game changers, and for us it was in our favor. And, you know, that's the second one that Drew's brought back for us this year. He had one against Herman as well up there, so, you know, that was huge. And then we started figuring it out offensively. You know, I thought that first drive we moved the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
But once again, we got down in the red zone, and we were, you know, we coughed it up, and they got the ball, and now the clock is still ticking, and they have the ball, and, you know, and people, you know, you start to get a little tighter because you're thinking, oh boy, you know, this is going to be a close game. And fortunately, you know, our kids, I was real proud of them. We've had a couple games where we did not play well in the third quarter, and I reminded our kids that the score at halftime against Oceanside was exactly the same score against Madison a couple of weeks before, 22-7, and we never scored again in the second half down in Madison. So I was real happy with the kids that they came out on their opening drive in the second half and took care of business, and and then we started clicking better on offense, and defensively we were understanding better what they were trying to do, and I thought overall we played a real solid football game.
Let's quickly grade the team here, and then kind of look forward a little bit to Old Town. Offense, how do you grade the offense?
Yeah, I think once again, I thought overall we played well, but we had a turnover, so that's going to bring the grade down for sure. We cannot turn the football over. Bottom line, we want our opponents to turn it over, but we cannot. So I would have to say, we're probably somewhere in the high B, low A range. We got to clean that up, but overall, I thought we moved the ball well. I thought we threw the ball a little better, but that's still something we're going to work on hard this week, that we still got to get better throwing the football, and especially in close games, we have to be able to do that. So, that's why I'm saying a high B, low A, because there's still a lot of work to be done there. And defensively, I thought we were solid most of the night. As far as our pass defense, once again, we got to get better. It seems like the word pass down here, we don't like it defensively and offensively, but they hit some big plays. One of their first touchdown was on a pass play in the flat, and they had some guys open, and that's not going to cut it this week against a good Old Town team that wants to throw the ball. So once again, I'd say we're in that high B, low A range defensively. And special teams, I was happy with them overall. Obviously we talked about Drew Rich returning one of the punts, and he kicked the ball well, and we were able to score on our 2-point conversions. But we did have one punt that bounced off our returner's head, and we were fortunate enough to return that, to get on the ball.
Right.
It was still our possession. So, I'd say we're somewhere high B, low A across the board, and plenty of room for improvement. Here we are even in the regular season, week 8, and there's room to get better, no doubt about it, and we're going to have a great week of practice to face a great Old Town team.
And the other thing is, I think, obviously you're going to talk to the team about penalties.
Yeah, you can't have penalties. You look at I think it's going to be a real close game against Old Town, and, it could come down to some big play on special teams. It could come down to turnovers, and it could come down to penalties. And, it's hard enough to move the ball against some of these upper echelon teams. And if, you get a good drive, kind of like down in Madison, we had a couple of nice plays, and they got brought back because of penalties.
Right.
We just can't have it because they're drive stoppers, and they continue drives for your opponent. So we got to clean that up for sure.
Let's preview quickly the Old Town game. I mean, they love to throw the ball. That Miller is a potent weapon, not only running from the backfield, but then going out for pass.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of weapons, and they definitely have number 6 Miller, and they call him the Flash, I guess.
Right.
I saw something on Channel 5. But he's an athlete. He's probably the best athlete. I would say once the Smith kid went down from Dover Foxcroft, Miller became the best athlete in our league. And, I mean, he does it all. He returns kickoffs. He returns punts. They split him out. They put him in the slot. They put him at shotgun quarterback. I mean, he does everything for them offensively, but he's not alone. I mean, their quarterback is as good as any quarterback in this league. He probably throws the best ball of anybody in this league. And then they have some real good running backs behind them. I mean, they have a number 4. He's super fast, one of the fastest running backs in our league, and he can hit the hole hard, and he can bust long ones as he's been doing all year. They have a good fullback, a couple strong kids back there that they like to lead with, and sometimes they'll give the ball to, number 2, and up front they're solid. They're just a solid football team. You don't go undefeated, and having a lot of weaknesses, and they don't have a lot of weaknesses. And defensively, they swarm to the ball. So, they're just a good football team. So, I think we're going to have to play. I know we're going to have to play our best football if we want any chance of beating this team.
That Old Town's going to pack that stadium. I think it's fantastic that the Harbor House is offering a free bus ride from the high school up to Old Town that can seat 28 people. And if listeners are interested in going on that, they just have to call the Harbor House to reserve their spot. But you really need a packed house there. I mean, you got to have that MDI sidelines packed because Old Town's going to have a screaming throng there. you really need to have that 12th or 13th player on the sidelines.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, that's not a super long trip, so I'm hoping, people will make the trip up to Old Town. And, because I think, we're on the road. It's going to be their senior night. They're going for an undefeated season. They're going for the bye. It's big for Old Town, and that place is going to be packed. That community's been waiting for this for a long time. That program's been down for a while, and now they're, having a year like they're having. So people are going to come out of the woods to come watch the Coyotes play, and, it could be us against the world if we don't have some fans up there. So I'm hoping we get some people make the trip up and support the Trojans.
As Clem LeBrie from the tickets reminded me on Sunday, he was like, "This isn't the 2-6 Old Town team from last year."
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And I was thinking about that this morning. We had to play them the second to last game of the year last year to get the number 6 seed. If they had won, they were going to go to the playoffs. If we had won, we were going to the playoffs.
Right.
And sure enough, we were lucky enough to knock them off. So and I'm sure they haven't forgotten that. So it's there's a lot of side stories involved in this one, but at the end of the day, it's going to be two teams strapping it on and playing football on Friday night at 7:00.
Well, it should be a great game, and we of course will have that game. What do you want to say to everybody listening around the world?
Yep, thank you for your continued support of MDI football. It's been awesome. We had a great crowd down here for homecoming versus Oceanside, and we're hoping we can get some people up. The weather looks good. I think it's going to be cold, but I think we're going to be dry.
It's going to be football weather.
Yeah, it's definitely football weather, and I think you're going to see a playoff atmosphere up there for this game, even though it's technically not the playoffs, but two teams fighting for position, and I think you're going to see a great football game. All
right, Coach. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Have a good week.
Thanks, Chris.